What's going on, guys? Today's video is going to be on Smart Scout tools that you can use for your private label business. Now, some of these tools, what we're going to be going over is tools that can help you find that first potential product opportunity, whether you're in that analysis paralysis stage, which I know a lot of people kind of get overwhelmed in and they don't know which product to pick, or they potentially rush and pick a product that ends up being a really bad idea and can put you in the negatives. So we're going to go over some tools to help you find that golden opportunity using our search trends tool. We're going to go over two other tools that are my favorite within Smart Scout and touch on a couple other things as well. So we're going to dive right into it. It's going to be kind of off the rip. I'm just going to show you how I use Smart Scout in my day-to-day private label business and how I kind of use it when I first looked for product opportunities, whether it was specific keywords or maybe just categories and stuff like that. But this is their new search trends tool. This has existed. It was called Popping Topics before. A lot of people didn't realize that, but this is a new revamped version of it, and I am honestly in love with it. It's similar to some other tools that are out there, but I think it's just Google Trends on the steroids. I personally like the grid view. It just gives you more data to look at from a quick glance. This is pretty if you're more of a visual learner and you want to see graphs over time, maybe from the past months. You can do that. You can also look at the year-long graph. I personally like looking at data over time. So stuff like this is good. This looks more like a month-to-month trend. Why? Because it's Halloween. So what I'm going to do is unselect it. I'm going to pick my favorite categories, which is health and household, home and kitchen, pet supplies, beauty, personal care, and let's just stick with that for now. Maybe office products. And you could do any product. It doesn't have to be anything in those categories, but these are just the categories I personally like. And I like looking at data over time because it's not something that you want to just be a viral trend. You don't want to pick a product that's just hot for a second. You want to make sure that there's good data going up over time. Like this is a very good thing. So this is something you could potentially build a product off of if the market says so. So when I say that, like NAD, very big product that's popping off. NAD is really good for aging and skin health. This is something that's, in podcasts that's talked about. If you watch Huberman Lab or Joe Rogan podcast or any of those podcasts, there's a lot of good data and scientific evidence on NAD, as well as magnesium and a few other things as well. So what I personally like is graphs that look like this. So it goes up over time. It's doing well. Yeah, there's some trends. It spikes a little bit, goes back down. But overall, you want to kind of do it like what they taught you in math class. Kind of put a point here and a point here and draw a line through it. If it looks like it's relatively stable and it's not just up and down, up and down, up and down, or just too low, it might be a good idea. And it's something you could dive deeper into. So what you could do is click on it. It'll pull up the idea. You can go look at the competition just like so. You could look at the search volume, which is insanely high. You can look at the competitors. A lot of these competitors have low reviews, nothing super crazy. One good one, this one has a lot. But this one also a big product nowadays. Another good one. What else? And this is something you could dive right into. NAD is a big product. I know a lot of members that are doing NAD, or at least looking into it within our community. And this is just how you kind of start searching. And I'm not going to bore you to death by going through everything, but this is basically what you would do. You would kind of look at maybe 1 month, 3 months, 6 month trends. I kind of look at all of them, but I like the longer ones as well. And then you could adjust this. You can look by growth or search volume, which is cool. So if I switch the search volume, we'll see how long this loads for pretty quick. I like looking at search volume as well because search volume is a key indicator as well to look at from a graph standpoint. So if we go back here, magnesium slowly growing. I don't even know what Owala is. So this is something that you would look into. Stuff like that. Grid view might be a little bit better because you do get that glance of this as well. So stuff over time, maybe something like this, something like that. I don't know what Owala is. Okay, so it's a brand, so you would ignore that. So this is how you would find your first product opportunity. You would go through this data over and over and over. You can even Excel export it, which is super cool. There would be pages and pages of this. You could play around with the filters and the columns. I love that as well. I think going through an Excel sheet would probably make this a lot quicker from a, big glance, essentially. And that's basically how you would start to do that product research and find that product opportunity. And then you would want to fact check it with some other tools for search volume, for maybe competitor research. So you could go into another tool called the brands tool, and maybe you want to filter by subcategories. You could even go into the subcategory tool. So let's say you want to go into maybe NAD, which would be more of a supplement, and you could type in supplements, and you would actually go and look through those supplements. Maybe NAD is more in the skin health, so it could be more beauty or skin wear. You would have to really search through this: personal care, skin care, beauty, personal skin care, boom, like that. I don't know if NAD is going to pop up, and you can actually even go into the niche finder as well. So might be a little bit hard to find it, but you would play around with this essentially and just go dive deeper into the subcategories. So for example, you can search something like supplement and go into, prebiotics or probiotics. Like probiotics is, something that could be really, really good right now. You want to make sure Amazon's not a top dog. I don't really like the fact that it's at 33% because Amazon does, own this whole real estate of their page. So make sure they don't have a large chunk of the revenue share. Make sure that it's actually Amazon themselves and not Amazon doing first party for other brands. But this is basically the research you would go into. You want to, validate it, make sure it's a big category, or at least there's a category with good market share. So what you would do is you would kind of go into the brands. You'd want to make sure the market share is evenly spaced out. You don't want to make sure there's someone like 50% and then everybody else is like 0.5, 0.5, 1%, 2%. Now this looks pretty evenly spread out. Everyone's roughly around 1% at max. Looks like this one is the top dog, but everybody else is relatively, pretty good. And look at this. You can steal 1% of market share and still do 200K a month. And if you're operating on 40, 50% margins in private label, which usually it is, once you're profitable after, the initial couple months, maybe, look at that. I mean, imagine it's 200K. That's what? Potentially 60 to 100K profit per month. Pretty good. Another thing you want to look at, dominant seller countries. Make sure it's US. You want to compete with US. Or you don't want to compete with Chinese brands because they can get it cheaper, especially certain types of goods, hard goods, maybe supplements, stuff like that, because they're the main source for the products that we're buying, especially through Alibaba, Pietra, all sites like that. So that's just some, extra steps that you could take into this brands and subcategories tab. This is something that I did literally day in and day out when I was looking at my product. I was looking into the supplement space, found some holes in the market that I could potentially maybe brand it better, use influencers, because other brands in that section weren't using influencers. And that's the big thing nowadays, is using UGC content to promote products. For example, there's a really big company that I love that's called Bloom, and they entered the market, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I believe. But then they started applying social media influencers. There they are. And let's see if this is them. Yeah, Bloom Nutrition dashboard, 4.4 million per month. Pretty insane. You could see what's doing the best, what categories they're in. They're in spirulina herbal supplements, so they're in a certain section of the database. You can see their parent ASINs. You can see how many sellers are on them. Looks like some distributors might be selling to other people, or maybe they had too big of a sale and some arbitrage sellers got it. But look at this. These are just SKUs that are doing almost 700K a month. Pretty insane. And if you think about it, their margins are pretty good. They're probably doing the manufacturing themselves now. And you can see, obviously, Bloom themselves, details on them. They have 55 offers. Ooh. If you want more stuff, you can get the enterprise plan and you can get even deeper results. But this is the type of research that you're going to be doing day in and day out when you're looking for a product to launch on Amazon. Now, looking at competitor research is really good. You can look into their subcategories, but a couple other things that I want to touch on that Smart Scout does is search terms. You can see what search terms they're ranking on, what the cost per click on those terms are. You can filter it by search volume, and you can export this to an Excel or a CSV sheet. So this is really good because then you can go into your PPC campaigns and you can try to apply them and see, okay, maybe you're not going to try colostrum because $7 a click is absolutely insane. But weight loss or belly welly could be a competitor that they're trying to target. AG1 greens powder, pretty expensive. And you could see how much they're spending. And this is on the business plan, so you will need to have a business plan or higher to be able to see this type of data. But this is great for one, beginner brands and small brands. You can see their total ad spend, which is insane data. So they're spending almost $250,000 a month on their own brand name, which is just a defense campaign. Bloom's Green, Bloom's energy drink. They just launched energy drinks. Look at this. It's $4 a click. So they're protecting their own brand. They're even doing $7 a click, spending $65K on this. Pretty insane. So it's really good to get an idea of this because when you're launching a brand, you want to look at your competitors. You want to see at what they're spending on their ads. You want to see what their cost per click is. You want to see the keywords you're looking for. So for example, if you want to look into a supplement space and you want to look into, I don't know, an ancestral supplement. Actually, let's go into subcategories. Let's just go into supplement. Let's go into, I don't know, prebiotics, dashboard, search terms. And we want to see what's ranking the best on prebiotics, search volume. Boom. Oop, didn't mean to pull that up. And then you can kind of look into ad spy. You could see what brands are winning the most on those keywords. You can see the keyword detective, which it goes farther in depth, and it's a comparison tool essentially. So you could plug in 3 keywords. You could plug in 3 brands. So if you want to look at brands, and let's look at Lemmy, one of my competitors, and you want to look at Keyword Detective, which is a really cool tool for brands because now you can look at the 3 top competitors, and you can choose the brands to compare to on top of that, which is really nice. And you can select and delete them from here. You only can do 3 right now, but what's really cool is you can basically go through the category of prebiotics, go into a brand, and then go into the keyword detective of that brand or of that category. So if we started back at, let's go back to this. If we went back to prebiotics and we went to a specific search term or scope. Scope is available for the enterprise plans, but let's go into the specific search terms. Then we would go into ad spy, and then you could go into, let's say, probiotics. And then let's go into physician's choice or something. And then you can go into the keyword detective, kind of like what I was just doing before, but you want to compare it to the 3 top competitors. You want to see who's ranking the best on organic and who wants to rank the best on paid ads. And this is specific to that brand and that keyword and that category. You could do it from a keyword basis, a brand basis, whatever you want to do. So if we went back, like I said, you can go back to specific things. I don't even know what these keywords are, but this is the research you'd be doing day in and day out. And this is what's going to basically make you validate that product idea. Because at the end of the day, if you're launching on TikTok, that's great, but you do want to know what the Amazon data is like as well. Even if you're launching Amazon second or if you're launching at the same time, you do want to know this because if you're going to be competing against brands like Bloom, like I said, that have $7 a click for certain keywords, that's something you need to consider because if you're going to enter a colostrum market that costs $7 just for someone to click on your product, you're going to be spending hundreds of thousands on defense campaigns, regular campaigns just to compete. So you're going to essentially be what they call a loss leader in the business. So you want to enter categories that maybe are a little bit more slept on, maybe ingredients that people aren't talking about just yet or on the rise. And that's the whole point of looking at search terms and search trends and ad spy as well as that, because you do want to see what's on the rise. You want to see what PPC costs are low, what competitors are low, and then use some other tools as well to kind of take advantage of that and validate that product idea. But this is basically all you need to do to validate and launch a product on Amazon in 2024, soon to be 2025. Thank you.